y'all quit playing with these men, okay? Quit playing with these men, okay? Because I'm looking at stuff all over the internet, and I'm looking at stuff on TikTok and stuff on YouTube. Y'all quit playing with these men, okay? Take some time, spend some time alone, and allow God to restore you and allow God to heal you. Stop entering into these relationships with men and you not whole. You enter into these relationships with scars that hasn't been healed, and then you wind up in toxic relationships, and then you looking back and then you wondering what happened, how did I get here? Stop. Just stop. It is nothing wrong with taking a few months off to take some time to get in your word and allow God to heal you, because if not, some of y'all are losing your lives, right? Some of you are losing your peace, right? Because you are just settling because you want love. And everyone at the core of us wants to feel and experience love, but don't do it at the expense of your life, right? Because what happens later on, and then let me tell you from somebody who has been married and have fulfilled the covenant. My husband passed away, so I've been married twice. My first time, I've been married 15 years. My second time, I was married, fulfilled the covenant until my husband died. And let me tell you some things I've learned, okay? One I've learned is that you can learn from your experiences. If you in your 30s, 40s, or whatever, 50s or whatever, you didn't have experiences with relationships. There's some lessons you should have learned from that, right? The older you get, the wiser you should be becoming, right? Why? Because the Bible says the older women should teach the younger women, right? How to be discreet, right? How to love their husbands, right? But if you have not learned it yourself, then you're going to be like Paul said, all to the point to where we should have become teachers. We're still needing the basic foundation of milk or knowledge, right? Which means if you in your 40s and 50s, right, you should be teaching younger women how to be discreet, teaching your younger children and younger women around you how to be sober-minded, right? How to be able to identify. Now, you may not be able to, I'm not saying this is going to be 100% bulletproof, but let me tell you something. You live long enough to be able to say, you know what? This is what you should avoid, right? And the problem is that sometimes we are so desperate for what we want so bad that we don't pay attention to the things. It's like being in the water bleeding and you got sharks around you. If you're bleeding in the water, guess what? You're going to attract sharks. It's important that you take the time to heal. And though it may seem overwhelming, because let me tell you something, in between different relationships, I've taken some time to heal before I get to the next relationship. And if you're repeating the same things in the next relationships, then you need to take a little bit longer than a couple of months to heal. Because if not, if you keep entering into different relationships, attracting the same type of people, then what's happening is you're not healing in a particular area, or you're refusing to address certain deficiencies that are in your life that are allowing you to attract the same person in a different body, right? And one of the things, I'm going to talk about some key things that I've learned. And some of the things that I've learned is you have to know what your core values are. You have to know what your core needs are, right? So that way, when you interact or you start to deal with different people, you can know whether or not if they meet my core need or my core values, right? And I'm not talking about like how some people, I've seen some podcasts where I've seen women listing all of these ridiculous experiences where you got to be this and you got to be this, when you don't really necessarily need to have all of that to have a successful relationship. I know, I've been there, done that, right? If you have the core, because there are some things that are about your partner that is just not going to be the same. I'm sorry, it's just not, right? But there should be the core things that matter should be the same, right? If you say, I want to be with somebody who like the color blue, I want to be with somebody who like to wear red all the time, then those are superficial stuff. You need, in order to have a secure relationship, in order to have a relationship that is foundationally sound, you need to make sure that your core needs are addressed. And you can't expect somebody else to address a core need that you haven't even identified. So when you understand what your core values are and what your core needs are, then you can look at people that you interact with, whether you're dating them or whether you're on a date with them, or whether you're talking to them in conversation, getting to know them. You could look at them and tell by observing them, right? Because that's what dating is. Observing, right? Exchanging information, watching them to see if they're qualified to be the person see if they're qualified to be a person that can come alongside you and help you raise your children, right? You got to stop looking at guys and looking at because they tall, dark, and handsome, or because they got because they got a nice package down. You got to look at core stuff. Because at the end of the day, I'm sorry, all of us, we all getting older, and there's going to be a lot of things about us that's going to change.